Alright, so continuing our Unit 9 review for the test. We're on the back side of the worksheet. So number 7 is a divide problem. It's similar to the multiplication problem we just did on number 6. But the idea here is we are going to, you keep the first part, you switch the sign, and you flip the second fraction. So what I mean is, to me, this problem is 2x minus 4 over x squared plus 2x plus 1. Change it to multiply and flip over the second part. It's just what we do. All right. So now I'm going to factor everything that I can. The top left is a GCF factoring, so I can pull a 2 out. That leaves me with x minus 2. The bottom left is going to factor to be x plus 1, x plus 1, because 1 times 1 makes 1. Oh, it looks like a 4, it's really 1. 1 times 1 makes 1, and 1 plus 1 makes 2. Sorry. Barely got through that. All right. On the top right, that's a difference of 2 squares. So that's x minus 1 and x plus 1. On the bottom right, two numbers that multiply to make negative 10 add up to positive 3 are going to be x plus 5 and x minus 2. Alright, so now I can do the fun part where we cancel stuff off. Remember, one thing from top, one thing from bottom, so there's an x minus 2. Those are gone. I see an x plus 1 right here, and I've got two x plus 1s right here, but you can only cross off one of them, so it doesn't matter which one, but that thing's gone. And now I'm just going to multiply across the top. In other words, just kind of squish everything on top together so that there's a 2 up there and there's an x minus 1 up there. And on bottom, I've got two sets of parentheses left. I have an x plus 1 that's not canceled and an x plus 5 that's not canceled, and that's the end of the problem. All right, number 8 is an easier, we're adding and subtracting now, and notice that there is a common denominator already. That simplifies our life a lot. Stylus not working very good. All right. So when it's a common denominator, you get the final answer just has that denominator. Across the top, you can kind of do like terms. Now, let me kind of take this slow, show you what I'm doing. So I'm doing 3x plus 4, and then I'm going to minus, because it is a minus problem, dx plus 1. Now we need to be careful when we do that. If I was to list all that out, there's a 3x plus 4, stylus, and then I need to minus the x, and I need to minus the 1. So that's me kind of like doing a little distributive thing with this. So I need to minus this x, I also need to minus the 1. And so the common denominator just comes along with it. And now my final answer is 3x minus x is 2x. And I'm looking at 4 minus 1, that makes 3. And that is my final answer right there. Done. All right, number 9, the problem is that there is not a common denominator. So we need to begin number 9 with creating a common denominator. And generally we can do that by, you just kind of have to analyze the situation here, but x minus 1 and 3x. I can make a common denominator by multiplying those two things together, which looks like this. So I'm literally just sort of smashing those two denominators together, and I'm using multiplication to do that. I'm not actually going to do any multiplying, I just stuck them next to each other. So the idea there is that I've just given this left fraction, I just gave him a 3x on top and bottom. So I actually need to multiply top and bottom by 3x to do that. That's going to give me, if I do a little distributive property right there, that's going to give me 12x squared minus 3x, if I multiply all that out. Over on the right-hand fraction, I have to multiply that guy by x minus 1, because that's what I gave him. He didn't have that before. So what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I have to give him an x minus 1 also. And then I do the distributive property across there. So that gives us 5x minus 5. So now that I have a common denominator, I can basically go to my answer. My answer is going to have that common denominator. I'm not really doing anything else with it. And I can now combine like terms across the top there. Now this is a plus problem, so it's a little bit easier. 12x squared plus, well, there is no more x squareds over there, so I'm just going to bring that guy down. But now I have a negative 3x plus a 5x, so negative 3 plus 5 is 2x. And then there's a minus 5 just kind of hanging out over there, so since it's plus, I can just bring that as down as a minus 5, and we're good. That's the end of the problem. All right. All right, looking at number 10, we are solving now on 10, 11, and 12. And so, first of all, again, notice on number 10 that I have common denominators. So that makes the problem a lot easier. As soon as you have common denominators, you basically just solve the numerators. You just, in class, I just kind of circled that and go, that's what we're solving right there. I'm only concerned with saying 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 8. That's just like the top of the fraction plus the top of the fraction equals the top of the fraction. So that's my equation, and that becomes just basically like regular algebra stuff. Negative 2x or minus 2x from both sides. That gives me x plus 5 equals 8. And now I can minus 5, and I get x equals 3. And I'm done with that problem. That's it. Number 11 does not have any common denominators. We have 2, 8x, and x. Sorry about the extra writing there. It won't let me erase that. So we need to come up with a common denominator for those three fractions. So to start with, I'm just going to kind of get my fraction bars ready. I think that helps me focus on what I'm about to do. If you analyze those denominators, 2 and 8x and x, what denominator can we turn those into? Well, it turns out that we can use 8x, which we already have. One of them has already got 8x. I can easily turn each denominator into an 8x using multiplication. For example, on the number 2 in this first fraction, I can just multiply that 2 by 4x. And I would do that on top and bottom, which gives me a 12x up on top. The middle one already has 8x as a denominator, so I'm not going to touch the top number. He's good to go. Over here on the right-hand side, I need to multiply x times 8. So I do that on top and bottom, and that gives me negative 5 times 8 is negative 40 on top. Now that I've got my denominators good to go, and I've adjusted the top accordingly, I can now solve the top of the equation. 12x minus 16 equals negative 40. The denominators no longer matter. We already made them equal. They're not part of the problem anymore. So I just do things like normal solving. X equals negative 2. And we're done. Okay, time for the last problem, number 12. It's very similar to number 11. We recognize that we do not have common denominators, so we have to make common denominators. So we have to analyze the numbers 4, 6, and 2 and realize that, try to figure out a number that all of those numbers go into easily. I think that number would be 12, 12x to be precise. That's what I want my common denominator to be. And that just takes a little bit of creativity and just analyzing the numbers and thinking about what they're doing. I can easily turn a 4 into a 12 by multiplying it by 3. I can turn a 6 into a 12 by multiplying it by 2. And I can multiply this 2 by 6 to get that. So here's what that kind of looks like. So this guy gets multiplied by 3. Can't get my stylus to work. This guy gets to multiply by 2x, and this guy is going to multiply by 6. So I do that on top and bottom. And what that gives me then is 3 times 2 right here is 6. 3x times 3 is 9x. And up top, that is 30. So now that I've got common denominators and my tops all figured out, I get to write an equation from the numerators. There it is. I subtract 6. I just realized I made a mistake. Hold on. That's not a 9x at all. I'm supposed to multiply that by 2x. Sorry. Come on, stylus. That makes 6x up there. So now I subtract 6 from both sides. It gives me 24. So 6 times what gives you 24? Clearly that is the number 4. And we're done. All right, good luck on your test.